Starting on the outside of your forearm, you have a group of extensor muscles that help extend your hands outward as well as side to side, and they're also highly involved in moving your fingers in all different directions. As we circle around the inside of the forearm, we find the muscles responsible for flexion of the wrist and the fingers, which primarily help you curl your hands and fingers inward. Going a little deeper, we find our pronator and our supinator muscles responsible for rotating and turning the hand in and out. Finally, we have one of the larger muscles of the forearm, the brachioradialis, and this muscle is more involved with flexing at the elbow and moving the entire forearm rather than just the hand. This complex group of muscles is what gives us the ability to move our hands and our fingers in all different directions, and our forearm muscles are involved in almost every single upper body exercise, ranging from pull-ups to lateral raises, and they're even involved in certain lower body exercises like deadlifts and lunges. So by building them up, not only will it help you develop important functions like your grip strength, but your forearms will also grow in size, which will help your arms look bigger and fuller even while wearing a shirt. So today I want to go over 9 of the best exercises you can do to target and develop your forearms. And I want to start first with one of my favorite isolation exercises for working the inside of your forearm, the kneeling barbell wrist curl. To begin, you would grab a barbell with your hands about shoulder width apart and your palms facing up. Then kneel down on the ground and position your forearms towards the end of the bench so that your wrists are hanging off the edge. Your shoulders should be nice and low so that your elbows are able to stay planted on the bench. From that position, you almost want to imagine that you're doing bicep curls, except instead of flexing at the elbows, we're now flexing at the wrists. So extend your wrists to lower the weight down and then simply curl your wrists back to bring the weight back up. Additionally, since your forearm muscles are responsible for flexing your fingers, when lowering down, you can allow the barbell to roll all the way down into your fingertips before curling it all the way back up. Besides incorporating more forearm muscles, doing it this way will also give you a better stretch at the bottom and it'll provide you with a slightly greater range of motion. Now you can do the same exact exercise by using just one dumbbell to work one forearm at a time instead of both at the same time like you would with the barbell. This can be especially useful for those of you that feel a lot of pressure in your wrists when doing it with the straight barbell. Since the dumbbells are not connected, you'll have a slightly freer range of motion, which will take some of that tension off of the wrists. Another great way to isolate the inside of your forearm with a barbell is by performing the wrist curls standing straight up. I find it most effective to do these behind your back. So to set this up, you would rack a barbell a little lower than hip level. Then turn your back to the barbell and turn your hands over so that your knuckles are facing forward and palms are facing the barbell. From there, unrack the barbell and take a step backwards. Then, just like before, you're going to curl your wrists all the way up before lowering back down and repeating for reps. When doing it standing, you'll get a little bit of a shorter range of motion since you won't be able to hyperextend your wrists as far on the extension. However, this is still a very effective exercise to target the inner part of the forearm, and a great alternative to mix into your routine is to perform the same exercise with a cable. Using the cable will provide a slightly different constant form of tension on your inner forearms. With that said, that inner part of the forearm gets plenty of work just by doing exercises like pull-ups and especially bicep curls. In fact, the inner forearm is highly involved in all of your bicep curling movements because your forearm flexors need to stabilize the wrist when performing regular curls. But the part of the forearm that doesn't get as much attention is the back part, or the outside of the forearm. And one of my favorite ways to isolate this part of the forearm is with a wrist roller. So to begin, you would unwind the rope so that it's hanging straight down, and then you would attach a weight to the bottom of the wrist roller. Then, while keeping your elbows bent, locked at your sides, and while holding your arms close to your body, you would curl one wrist up at a time, switching from side to side to slowly wrap the rope around the bar and raise the weight up to your hands. Once you get the weight up to the top, you want to make sure that you avoid making the common mistake of just loosening your grip and letting the rope unroll back down to the floor. This is because, as I'm sure you know, the negative or the eccentric portion of a contraction is the part of the movement that breaks down the muscle the most. So you want to slowly unwind the rope the same way that you wound it up, alternating from one hand to the other until it's all the way at the bottom. Another common mistake that you want to avoid while doing this exercise is holding your arms straight out in front of your body in a frontal raise position. While this isn't necessarily bad for you, it's not as effective for your forearms because after about 30 seconds, your shoulders are going to start feeling a lot of fatigue, limiting the amount of rounds that you can roll the weight up and down due to shoulder fatigue rather than forearm fatigue. Now, just as a side note, keep in mind that you can always use this exercise to work the inside of your forearms, and you can do that one of two ways. The first way is by turning your hands over and holding your arms bent at a 90-degree angle. Then you would just alternate curling one wrist up at a time. The second way is to keep your hands in the same position as before, except instead of curling your knuckles up towards you, you would now curl them downward and alternate from side to side that way. All three of these exercise variations are excellent at hitting the forearms. I recommend doing 3 to 4 sets of 3 to 5 rounds per set, depending on how much weight you're using. And by the way, when I say a round, I'm talking about fully winding the weight up and unwinding it all the way down. That would count as one complete round. Another great exercise to target your outer forearms is the reverse wrist curl. These are very similar to the ones that we were doing earlier, and we can use the bench just like before, but this time we would just simply curl the barbell up with our knuckles up rather than down. But since the muscles on the outside of our forearms will typically be a little weaker than the muscles on the inside of the forearms, the bar itself might be a little too heavy for some of you to perform reverse wrist curls with. So if you can't do it with a barbell, grab a dumbbell and take a seat on the bench. Then place your forearm along your thigh towards the end so that your wrist is once again hanging off the edge. Then simply lower the dumbbell to get a nice stretch and then curl your wrist up by trying to drive your knuckles towards the ceiling. Then lower back down and repeat for reps. Placing your forearms over your knees instead of over the bench is actually a variation that you can do to target the inside as well as the outside of your forearms. Next, I want to move on to 2 compound exercises for your forearms, starting first with hammer curls. Anytime that you have your hand turned over in a neutral or a pronated position, you'll be able to incorporate a lot more of your forearm into the movement. Specifically, hammer curls really help to target that large forearm muscle that I was talking about earlier, known as the brachioradialis. So to start this one, you'll first want to grab 2 dumbbells and hold them in a neutral position. Then you're going to curl 1 dumbbell up until your forearm is almost vertical and your thumb will be pointing towards your shoulder. After that, you'll just slowly lower the dumbbell back down to the original starting position and switch to the other side, alternating back and forth for reps. Now, you can do these seated or standing. Both can be very effective, but you do want to make sure that you avoid some very common mistakes. First of all, make sure that you're not swinging back and forth using momentum until the last 1 or 2 reps. Also, make sure that you keep your elbows pinned to your sides and don't allow them to flare out away from your ribs or to flare in front of your body. Now, an alternative you can do that's still considered a hammer curl is the cross-body hammer curl. Pretty much everything else would stay exactly the same. The only difference is that now you're going to be coming across your body, and instead of aiming to bring the dumbbell up to your shoulder, you're going to be aiming to bring it up to your opposite pec before switching sides and alternating for reps. Another compound exercise to target your forearm is the reverse grip easy bar curl. Now, this one can be done a number of different ways. You can use an easy bar, a regular straight barbell, cables, and you can even use a bench set at an inclined angle that you would lean against for an exercise known as spider curls. But the core concept for all these exercises is the same. You would grab the bar with an overhand grip so your palms will be facing down and your knuckles will be facing up. Then you would curl the weight up towards your shoulders and slowly lower back down before repeating for reps. Again, while doing this, make sure you keep those elbows at your sides and don't let them flare forward or outward. The only exception is with spider curls, since obviously your elbows will not be directly at your sides, but instead they'll be in front of your body due to the angle that you'll be performing the exercise from. Moving on, for the last few exercises, I want to show you guys not only how to build up your forearms, but also how to highly strengthen your grip. And the first way to do that is with the plate pinch. You would do this one by simply taking 2 weighted plates. 5 or 10 pound plates are great to start with. Then you would stack them side by side so that the smooth sides of the plates are facing outward. And from there, you would just hold these 2 plates sandwiched together in your hands for 45 to 90 seconds or until you hit failure and just can't hold them anymore. If you can hold it for longer than 90 seconds, you can of course go for a longer time frame, but I recommend moving up in weight instead, and you can do that by either stacking a third 10-pound plate onto the other 2, or you can take 2 25-pound plates and hold those 2 together. Just keep in mind, going from 10-pound plates to 25s is a pretty big jump. Another great exercise for grip and building up the forearm is the good old farmer walk. This one's pretty straightforward. You grab some really heavy dumbbells or a trap bar loaded with some really heavy weight and you simply walk. Now, that might sound easy, but it will absolutely exhaust not only your grip strength, but many other upper body muscles, including your biceps, shoulders, and traps. Again, here just 45 to 90 seconds of walking with a heavy weight load will provide an excellent challenge. The last exercise that'll help your grip as well as your forearms will require the use of grippers. You can buy a bunch of different grippers by going with a brand like Captains of Crush, where each gripper will provide its own resistance level ranging from a light amount of resistance to a very heavy amount of resistance, so you can progressively work your way on up. This was the go-to way to strengthen your grip over many years, but nowadays there are products that allow you to adjust the resistance level so you can have a light, medium, and heavy resistance level all in one gripper. But regardless of which you go with, the exercises perform the same exact way. You would simply try to crush the gripper and squeeze as hard as you can before slowly opening your hand to return back to the starting position. Then you would just repeat that for reps. Now, other than all of these exercises, you can also use certain accessories to help incorporate more of your forearms and your grip strength into your workouts. For example, you can use thicker barbells if you have access to them, or you can buy what are known as fat grips to make it more challenging to grip and hold weights, whether you're doing rows, farmer walks, or curls. Additionally, with the fat grips, you can use them on a lot of different equipment other than just dumbbells and barbells. For example, you can even use them on the pull-up bar. And speaking of pull-ups, another accessory that you can use to strengthen your grip is what's known as the cannonball grip. You would attach these cannonballs to a pull-up bar and perform pull-ups that way. That about wraps it up, guys. I really hope that you enjoyed this video and that you got at least a few new ideas on how to challenge and develop your forearms as well as your grip strength to help those forearms grow bigger, wider, and stronger. I recommend taking a few of these exercises and throwing them in at the end of your bicep training workouts to further stimulate the forearms. Remember to subscribe to the channel and hit that bell icon. And also, if you're looking for a done-for-you program that'll help you develop not only your forearms, but other muscles in your body like your chest, back, shoulders, and legs, and you want to skip all that trial and error, just visit my website where we have challenges designed to help you achieve your body transformation goals, whether that be building muscle or burning fat. You'll get a customizable meal plan that'll change as your metabolism adapts and changes throughout the entire program. You'll also get a full workout plan with a full video exercise library so you're never left confused, as well as a recipe book and an accountability coach that'll be there to guide you through the entire process, and much, much more. To find out more, you can click the link below in the description, or you can visit my website directly at gravitytransformation.com. I'll see you guys soon.